The stock market got absolutely destroyed on Friday as stocks tanked down in a major way after Powell's speech at the Jackson Hole Symposium, and things are just starting to heat up. Looking at the heat map from Friday, we can see stocks all across the board sold off in a gigantic way. Even some of these biggest moving, I guess you could say the biggest market moving companies like Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, and Google are all selling off big. Stick around to the end of today's video. We have some important things to talk about.
Yeah, it really is. And Mike, you can see here that the S&P 500, like you said, the SPY was really selling off Friday. And I know that last week we talked about a lot of major levels coming up, and it looks like the SPY actually broke a lot of these last week. So I actually talked a lot last week about the SPY potentially falling down to 410 and then possibly getting down to 400 over the next couple weeks. But you know, Mike, I guess as we knew, Powell would bring in some volatility. I was not expecting this much to the downside, though. We honestly got all the way down to 404. We broke below that huge support at 410. You can see 410 was actually a really big support intraday before we finally blasted below that level. It ended up being a pretty big area on Friday. So definitely watch 410 next week if the SPY does pop back up a little bit. But Mike, that was just terrible news. Obviously, Powell made the market sell off. He was a lot more hawkish than people were expecting. I kind of expected him to be a little bit hawkish anyways, but he was actually, it was actually a short speech, and he pretty much just came out being extremely hawkish, saying the Feds were going to keep raising rates to try to bring inflation down. And I'm going to kind of read a really good, I guess, paragraph that he said. He said, while higher interest rates, slower growth, and softer labor market conditions will bring down inflation, they will also bring some pain to households and businesses, he said. These are the unfortunate costs of reducing inflation, but a failure to restore price stability would mean a far greater pain. So he is saying that this is needed, but nonetheless, though, raising rates and stuff is not good. The market did not like it, and obviously the SPY is selling off because of this.
Exactly. So Tom summarized it perfectly. You know, inflation's high. He says we're going to get inflation under control, and, you know, there's some pain that comes along with it. So good stuff there, Tom. But looking at the markets, here's how I feel about them right now. If we zoom out a little bit on any stock for the most part, or even just, you know, the S&P 500 or QQQ or whatever, we can see the stock market recovered in a gigantic way over the past 2 months. If we're being realistic, the stock market over-recovered, right? So I am feeling slightly bearish on the market for the short term. I made a video dedicated to this on Friday, talking more in depth on how I feel. But when you look at major market-moving companies like Apple, Apple should not be up 35% in 2 months from its low. That is, it's not sustainable, you know? So it's like, we're more than likely going to see at least a small pullback. I am not expecting a retest of lows at this very second, but I can definitely see the stock market like coming down more, just because, like, even if you just look at, you know, some of these charts, let alone what Powell's saying or any other important data points, a 35% pop from Apple in 2 months is completely unsustainable when, like, nothing fundamentally changed. It's a different story when we have the Feds pumping trillions of dollars into the market like what happened in 2020, but we're actually seeing the exact opposite now.
Yeah, we really are, and it's pretty surprising to see these big red candles, Mike. I was not expecting it to be this quick, more of like a slow and steady sell-off, but as we know, sometimes these sell-offs can become accelerated, and I think we're starting to really see that come in here. I will say I'm seeing a big gap here on the Apple chart, Mike. It seems like there's a pretty big support down here, somewhere right around like 157.50, maybe 158. I also see a pretty big support on 160 on Apple. I would not be surprised if we were able to get down to 160 maybe this week or over the next couple weeks, and possibly fill that gap even towards like 158, or even maybe that 155 support down there. So there's a lot of big levels I'm watching for Apple. As you can see here, guys, Apple is in a pretty good channel here on the way to the upside. And now that we're finally falling off, it's starting to really get accelerated. So watch the sell-off. I can definitely see this coming in for maybe a few more days here. It was obviously pretty bad to see the market down that much and Powell be so hawkish. Mike, I will say that heat map is scary. I know you talked about this a lot on Friday and in some of these other videos, but man, look at how red this is, guys. There's only a couple stocks green, like EA, Take-Two Interactive, and stocks like that. I mean, even the healthcare sector, Mike, took a big hit. It was a terrible week in general for stocks, and I just cannot believe the massive sell-off that happened on Friday. Like, this heat map is pretty scary, and it's definitely not going to set a good tone on Monday, that's for sure.
True. All right. Well, looking at this week, I know there are a couple important economic events. What's in the schedule?
Yeah, so they're all going to be coming at the end of the week, guys. It looks like Monday through Thursday. There's not really too much going on. On Thursday, there is ISM manufacturing PMI, which isn't the biggest number. So I don't think we'll have to worry about that too much. But on Friday, we're going to have non-farm payrolls, which people have been looking at almost every single month here over the past year, pretty much. And then the unemployment rate is also going to be huge at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time on Friday. So be ready at the end of the week. I know the end of last week was nuts with Powell. So watch the end of this week. We'll probably get some more insights into how the jobs market and stuff like that is going with these payrolls and the unemployment rate. So it will be a pretty big economic data point there, Mike. And then we do actually have some pretty big earnings this week too. So we have a lot of China stocks like PDD on Monday before open. Then we have Baidu on Tuesday before open, along with Best Buy, Bootu. Then we have CrowdStrike, ChargePoint, Chewy, and HP on Tuesday after close. I think that's going to be the day to watch, Mike, is Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we have AI after close, along with Five Below. Then Thursday, we have Campbell's, Hormel, and some of these like food companies. So kind of interesting, Mike. It's not the biggest week ever, but some of those stocks on Tuesday are pretty influential.
All right, there we go. So feel free to screenshot this for the rest of the week. Earnings are always crazy, as we all know. But Tom, let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. With the first one, we have ABBV to the downside.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if every plays to the downside today, Mike, but go ahead and make them break below 136.20.
All right, with the next one, we have UPS, also to the downside.
Yeah, poor UPS here. Look at this one. Go ahead and make them break below 198.75. And I really like this down, Mike, because they just fell below a huge $200 resistance right there.
Yep, and you called it, Tom. Every single play this week or every single play for tomorrow is to the downside. So with the next one, we have AMD.
Yeah, AMD was an amazing play down on Friday. I could not believe that big move up Thursday, and then the way it fell down Friday. They're actually sitting on a huge support here, Mike, right around $91. So make them break below $90.80.
All right, so we're watching AMD, UPS, and ABBV for potential day trades to the downside tomorrow, only if they break below the levels Tom listed. But Tom, you already know we have to showcase that bot play from Friday. Our bot sniped AMD. It called out the AMD 95 strike puts at $260 each. By the end of the day on Friday, they were at $498 each. These things went crazy. If you are looking for daily options alerts, definitely check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. Our bot is awesome. Of course, it doesn't win every single play out there. No software, no strategy does, but it does a great job. So definitely check it out. It's going to be that first link in the description and the comments down below. If you don't like it, you can cancel it any time, and we have a coupon running. So use coupon code 2022 to save around $41 off your first month. You also get access to a bunch of other custom bots, swing setups, and a private community. It's awesome, and it's definitely worth it if you trade stocks for the short term. But with that being said, Tom, do you have any favorite setups heading into tomorrow?
Yeah, Mike, there is a few sectors that were actually green last week that I'm still kind of watching here. So as we saw on that heat map, some of those gaming stocks like EA and Take-Two Interactive were actually up. They had some pretty good news Friday. So I will be watching these gaming stocks next week. I've been looking to get into some of these for some longer term plays. So I will be watching them to see if they pop back up or if they end up falling back down with the market. Honestly, I hope they fall back down so I can get into some longer term plays at some better prices. But as far as plays to the downside, Mike, we saw some pretty bad sell-offs in the chip sector with NVIDIA, AMD, stocks like that were really selling off. Even like Qualcomm and MU were down a lot. So I'm going to keep watching these chip stocks like we talked about. The bot did amazing with AMD puts last week. AMD is still sitting on that really nice support like I talked about at 91. If we break below there, I think there could be even a bigger sell-off. Looking at AMD's daily chart, Mike, I still think that there's a lot of room to the downside here. Like you can just see compared to like the SPYs chart and other stocks in the market, a lot of them have extended past these recent supports, and AMD is still sitting at it. So I'll definitely be watching for a big break.
Sounds good. And then before we close out, we have to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, which is RV in the Stocked Up Discord chat. You've been in the chat for a little over a year now, and you've been very active ever since. So huge shout out, RV. Thanks so much for being an active member of the community. Tom and I appreciate you. And guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And this week's going to be crazy. The stock market tanked on Friday, and we are set for a lot of volatility this week. Like I said, definitely check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. The bot's awesome, and you at least have to try it out for a month. So definitely check it out. Besides that, let's have a great week.